And we are live. Another off-centered episode with Neo Cards and Comics, watching a Cavs game, predictably, and flipping broken leg, Steve. What's going on, fellas?
I told you not to bother me when I'm checking my auctions.
Did you pay Dustin for that promotion?
Yes, if you want some added
running a tab,
let's talk after the stream about some added exposure if you'd like.
Yes.
How we doing, guys? What's new? What's new? Well, actually, let's talk to Neo. What's new with you? Because I just saw Steve. So what's new with you?
I got nothing. I had a very busy last 2 weeks at work, which is part of the reason why I couldn't get to Culture Collision. Though I tried. The 10-hour drive and then doing it again 2 days later was just too daunting to try to pull off last minute. But yeah, I got nothing. I got a PSA order coming back. I bought a raw prism card, like modern, off eBay, and I think it might 10. I don't know. I got some other fun pickups coming. You know, I got a big local show on Saturday. There's like a 400 table local show down towards Pittsburgh that I might make the trek down to this weekend. It's like 2 hours.
Nice. Thanks to Steve, I bought a Justin Fields card and a Baker Mayfield card this week.
That's not my fault. That's not my fault. Don't be telling that.
That was not on my radar over the weekend in Atlanta. It was not on my radar at all that I was going to be buying those two. But and the reason why I did, here's the reason.
Hold on. You're a bigger influencer than me. I should not be influencing you.
Well, you're always influencing me. But the reason why I did it is because every time we go to the National, I never have the hot quarterback in quotations, and I probably still won't. I'll buy these cards now. And it'll be Caleb Williams or it'll be AR-15 or whoever. And people will like laugh at my Bakers and all that stuff. Fine. But I actually kind of thought we were texting about it. It was actually kind of nostalgic to be buying Baker Mayfield cards again, because going back in time, I bought and sold so many Baker Mayfield cards. It's kind of fun to kind of go back in time a little bit. But
I mean, well, right now you have to kind of buy what's cheap. It's not about necessarily who's going to be hot at the National, because everybody is going to be chasing someone different. There will be your top five, but then there'll be another handful of quarterbacks, maybe another five that other people are going after only because they can't afford CJ Stroud and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. So you play in a smaller ballpark of stuff where people can still afford and speculate. And like last year for me, it was Jared Goff, right? And when we were sitting here on live stream, that sounded kind of like that, nostalgic. You know, Jared Goff had been to a Super Bowl, kind of fizzled out, was on a new team a little, starting to get his legs back under him. And it was kind of like.
Yeah, Derek Carr was supposed to be my Jared Goff this year.
Right.
It just didn't. It didn't
and
happen.
Even with all of the quarterbacks that the top 5 to 6 to even 7, 8 names that were trading at the National, I still found someone to move my Jared Goffs to.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people there.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not be as easy because people will come up to your table. Herbert, Burrow, Allen, right? Herbert, Burrow, Allen, Herbert, Burrow, nobody was asking for Jared Goff. But when I walked the trade night and people went through my stuff, people were interested in them. So everybody knows that the main one that I'm picking up right now is Kyler Murray. I don't want anybody to go buy him. This is not a pump. I'm trying to buy them. Right. So
it's the reverse pump.
But I tried to buy some at Culture Collision. We'll get into Culture Collision, but I feel like they just weren't out for sale because I think there's a lot of people that realize that his market's really low, and they probably have the same mindset as me, that there will be some sort of, it may not be huge, but there'll be some sort of interest in him going into the National, especially depending on what happens in the draft. So a lot of people just aren't willing to cut ties while his cards are down. I've already bought more Kyler cards since I've been home than I was able to find at Culture Collision.
How prepared are you for the Super Bowl when Purdy gets hurt and Sam Darnold comes into the game and leads them to the victory? Or will we never see you again because you just moved to a remote island?
San Juantaneo, they got 3 words for you, or is that 4 words? I don't know. San Juantaneo, 5 words.
You're going to leave Dustin and I a postcard to go find in a field underneath a rock to come find you?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be hanging out with Red and Andy, like I said, working on a boat.
Yeah, the Sam Darnold, that was basically the only one that hasn't worked out yet. I'll say
I'm even.
Well, who's the other one that didn't work out?
No, I'm even on Sam Darnold.
Oh, okay. I see what you
Goff worked out. Love worked out. I only bought 2 Deshaun Watson cards, so I didn't go heavy on him, but I sold those before the season. So there were just a couple select colors. I made like $150 off those. And then
Deshaun
Arnold
Watson
was the one that I sold enough. When he got named second string, and a lot of people thought Purdy might not be ready, I was able to sell enough of his stuff to break even.
Watson's stuff is basically free.
Well, and that's the thing. You have to assume the Browns are probably going to draft offensive weapons because their defense is so good. So what happens if they get a big receiver in the first round or something and there's some excitement? And I get it. It's Watson and whatever his background, but it's like, if it's cheap enough, I might take it. I might grab a couple of them if it's cheap enough.
But can he still play?
Well, right. Yeah. Last year, he just didn't look very good.
He did get some playing time last year on the same team that Joe Flacco was ripping it up with, right? And
I would not carry them into the season at all. I would just try to find kind of like sell off, hope someone is reaching a little bit on it. If I get them cheap enough, that would be it.
So the only, and I get, because they are pretty cheap, like they are enticing just from a pure price point perspective. I almost think you'd have to carry him in the season because I go to 57 card shows a month in Northeast Ohio. No one is looking to buy or sell Watson card. Like people just don't care about Watson cards. Browns fans don't even really, they're like arms linked with him. But
Delmar, I haven't bought any yet. All right. I haven't bought any yet. All right.
But
all you have to do is just break. I'm also buying OJ Simpson cards. Everyone going to get worked up about that too? All right, go ahead.
But the thing I'll say though is if the Brown season starts and he actually plays like above average to well, then I could potentially see them going up. I don't know that they're going to go up just naturally on their own throughout the normal offseason nonsense. They could, but I think you'd have
and the Nationals in Cleveland. So watch us just not buy them. And then he's the hot guy in Cleveland based on whatever. He's having an amazing, camp, and they drafted, Jesus.
They don't really have the Texans have most of their draft picks still.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, from the Watson trade.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it though, because it is like it's almost worth the flyer because he is just like basically like a silver prism of him. I think a PSA 10 silver prism's under $100.
Anything's worth it for the right price. People buy lottery tickets for $5 because they got a chance to win a lot of money at the cost of $5, right? So essentially it's what you're talking about. So yeah, but I'm not touching Deshaun Watson this year because I was glad I was able to get rid of the 2 that I had before the season. Deshaun Watson is not touching me either. So
that's what you got to worry about. That's the bigger concern with Deshaun.
I want a player that is going to generate news. Like you said, Deshaun Watson could get into the season.
He's good at that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Positive news. I don't want somebody that I have to rely on playing. So I want somebody to get a roster spot, a team draft a good player, or make a trade, or somebody be traded, or something like that, and then, sell on that.
So speaking of the Cleveland National, this is my bi-weekly check-in. Have either of you booked rooms for the Cleveland National?
Actually, Hambone's working on something for us.
Yeah, we're looking for an Airbnb. Ham has been pricing them up for us.
All right. Ham, if Ham's watching, he can feel free to send me any direct links if he wants me to give him a scouting report on a neighborhood.
All right, so Cleveland National, we're like not Deshaun Watson, but what about the return of Nick Chubb? What about and I understand running backs aren't quarterbacks, but because it's like a local show and Nick Chubb coming back, if you could get I don't know what his prices are, but
is he going to be ready to go?
That's the thing. I think it's going to depend. I don't know that he is going to be.
I would be
shocked if he's ready to start the season.
The normal, it's probably the normal time frame, but I think he's had bad knee injuries in the past.
He's already had an ACL surgery
and things like that. I hope so. He's a great running back. He's one of the best pure runners in the league. And who knows what Cleveland would have did with him this year? Because even Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt were somewhat successful.
Yeah, it shows how good their line is because those other running backs did fine.
And he's a really talented player, and he seems like a good person that the hobby could
people love him
latch onto. That's what I mean. He seems like a likable player.
You'd actually be better off, honestly, for someone like Myles Garrett or something like that.
Yeah. So some defensive players get some hype, like those guys on nice cards.
Rest in peace.
Myles Garrett's people love Myles Garrett stuff.
Mm-hmm. I would say
you got to remember too with Myles Garrett, he doesn't have autos. He's never signed a card.
Really?
Yep. Huh. He said he would not. He has something. I forget what he said. There's like a quote of he wouldn't sign his autograph until he felt that he was worthy enough to like sign an autograph. And he was like real weird. Like they practiced at the NFL Hall of Fame and he skipped it because he said he would not enter the Hall of Fame until he earned his way into the Hall of Fame.
For Joe Burrow, I haven't seen the prices come shooting down on him. I think there's just a lot of people that paid up on Burrow that would just decided to hold on to it because they didn't want to sell at a loss. That's my guess with Burrow.
I mean,
at least on a silver prism, we missed the window already.
Burrow
right
scares me from an injury standpoint. I feel like he's always been injured, like whether it's a preseason injury or 2 season-ending injuries that he's had. And how many seasons has he been in the league? 2020. I mean, people talk about Tua and how Tua's injuries are scary.
Right.
And
yeah.
Joe Burrow has probably missed as much time as Tua has, if not more.
Yeah, he's missed almost two full.
So, I mean,
yeah,
I know. So it's kind of like that's the one thing that keeps people off of Tua, besides the fact that he doesn't have a clutch bone in his body and can't score in the fourth quarter, Tua's injury prone. Tua's injury prone. But then people say bye Burrow, but I'm like, well, he's missed 1.5 seasons out of 3 seasons.
It's crazy how the 2020 draft class went from like amazing to meh in less than 12 months.
Same thing happened with the 2018 draft class too.
Yeah, I mean Tua, Jalen Hurts, Herbert. I guess Herbert's got a coach now, so maybe but you know what? People are going to speculate that into the price. It's like, and then who was the other one? Oh, and Burrow, of course, is 2020. It's funny how it can change on a dime.
Who's on
2021 too? Like Trevor Lawrence, no one likes him anymore now. Justin Fields is on the.
Are you in charge of comments, Dustin? You're doing pretty good.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a little bit slow so far, so I'm actually right on top of it.
Maybe there's somebody else live streaming that's more interesting than us.
Maybe chat just gave up on even asking the questions.
Yeah, they're like, let's not bother with the chat.
Well, Neo was going to shoot some questions about Culture Collision, but it would be nice if the chat had some questions about Culture Collision as well. One thing, since we're on the football cards and we were talking about Nick Chubb as a running back, one thing that I saw at this show is, everybody's like,
quarterbacks is running back card.
Can't even see it. You see your computer monitor.
Yeah, I've
seen it though.
All right, forget it. Never mind.
But yeah, it's kind of like it's always been quarterbacks rule the league, but I saw receivers were very popular. I don't know if it's because quarterbacks, again, have
let everybody down.
Just expensive, and wide receivers are exciting. But your top 5 young receivers, and even Tyreek Hill, who I don't necessarily consider to be young by the standards of the others, like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb cards, even in Atlanta, people were asking for. Is at a lot of tables where people were like, got any CD? And I'm kind of like, CDs, but I'm just.
Wow, Steve.
I just heard it a lot. I'm talking about like CDs and tapes.
I wonder if people lost so much money on QBs that they're like, you know what? Let's go position players where it's just cheaper. I mean, hell, you could probably get a Nick Chubb gold prism. I got the Alvin Kamara gold prism 17 for $500. That's an expensive card for a running back. But I mean, $500 is a drop in the bucket for Herbert and Burrow and all the other guys.
It's kind of like McCaffrey. I think it's when when the best player on the team is a position player. Typically, when you say, here's a team, give me their best player, most of the time people kind of steer to the quarterback. But me as a Dolphins fan, if you say, who's the Dolphins' best player, I say Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek, yeah.
If you say, who's the 49ers' best player, you say Christian McCaffrey. Who's the Vikings' best player? Justin Jefferson. Who's the Cowboys' best player? CeeDee Lamb, right? So the guys that pop into your head first as to be the team's best player are the ones that – and people know this because they play fantasy football and things like that. And, it seems it's not so much with the running backs. I think the fear of injury kicks in. But the receiver stuff it just seemed popular because I think it's a little bit more affordable, so people can tend to collect them more so than the quarterbacks.
Mike Petty arrives with F the chat. Good to see
I saw Mike on a live stream last night.
Mike showed his face. I saw it.
For collectors, right?
Yeah.
And I would like to say, if anybody that was on that live stream last night is watching this live stream, thank you for inviting me on, because I commented in their chat and they asked me to come on. But when they asked, I was in bed watching that live stream. I was falling asleep when I was, so I wasn't able to. I was in no position to like get up and get on a live stream. But I appreciate the gentlemen that were on there that like, hey, Steve, you want to come on and talk about your vintage pickup? But
I didn't get invited. I just assumed they probably didn't want to see all my vintage stuff. They were just like, "Hey, don't invite him on."
Hey, you could have whipped out your autogram card.
I've got plenty of vintage.
And your Jim Brown, and
you
should make a deal with me for that Jim Brown. I still don't have one.
I got 2 of them, Steve.
Yes, Neo's got them. All right, Alex says, what's with this Victor Wembanyama? If I to join 500 breaks to chase a rookie card and I win, should I sell such a card this week or in 2 weeks? We don't give advice as far as like timing goes, or I can't speak for you guys, but I'm pretty sure that you would agree. We don't give timing advice. But I feel like almost everyone, if you ask this question, it's basically like if you pull it, sell it immediately. That's kind of like because it's the brand new,
especially in the first couple weeks of release.
Yeah, because it's like the new stuff is always hot and then it cools off. So I don't know. What do you guys want to throw in there? Anything?
They always sell right away, right off the get.
Yeah, I haven't been. That is Castle Grayskull.
Sure is.
And the drawbridge works, but
Sidebar.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about basketball right now. Even if I was to like try to give you some insight, I know that Chet and Wemby are like the 2 guys that are dominating the rookie scene, and I know this because I hear the buzz at the show, like in Atlanta. I know what people are asking for and stuff, so I know what must be popular. But as far as I don't think the Spurs are playing very well, and Oklahoma City is playing really good. But I don't know, if Chet's the number 1 option on his team. That's right, SGA. So it's kind of like I typically, when I go after a basketball player, it's the guy who's the number 1 on the team. Because if you can look at even Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're both
now
great.
Now that up on chat, he's basically saying I don't need the advice, and he was just joking. It was just snark. So there we go. There you go. You were trying to answer, and he was just playing around. Pretty cool for the vintage non-sports market. Yeah, so basically there was a comment about Steve Aoki buying up a bunch of vintage 77 Star Wars cards. Look, all I need is Steve just to kind of like diverge over to Stranger Things just for a few weeks.
Not this Steve.
That's all I need.
Don't confuse him.
Hey, Steve, Stranger Things season 5, it's coming out. It's just funny because Steve is basically the whole reason why the Marvel PMG craze happened, like by himself.
Quit saying just Steve, because they're going to think that you're talking about me.
Oh, I'm talking about Steve Aoki. My bad.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Steve pumped Marvel by
Don't put that shit on me, Ricky Bobby.
Steve pumped Marvel Vibranium, not PMG.
Yeah, Steve was like, I really like these Vibraniums.
I did good on pop culture cards at the show, though, and people were coming to the showcase, and just like you got a lot of questions and a lot of people being introduced and not knowing.
I've been selling that inventory from the show. I put some of it on eBay, and I've sold stuff this week, and so it's just I wanted to take all of it to the show first, just kind of see kind of how it is, and also like it's not the timing isn't quite right in my mind, just because they haven't gotten enough footage yet to get a trailer out. There's usually a couple of trailers leading up to the actual season. Season 5 is not going to happen until probably summer 2025. We're like 15 months out. So yeah.
I was going to say, why would you even list Stranger Things now? Why wouldn't you wait for a trailer to drop?
Because I've got dupes, I've got triples on some stuff, and I just got them. I got in like really low on some of it. So I was just like, yeah, you know what? I'll go ahead and start selling off some of it. No biggie.
Yeah. And where I see down here where Cards Across America says he should have bought my Game of Thrones autos. Those things, they did not last not even an hour.
Yeah,
one card did.
Let me clarify too. So I have about 150 Stranger Things slabs, and so like the best ones are I've got about 60 that are like 50 to 60 that are my best ones. The idea is I sell kind of the 100 to pay for the 50, 60. So I'm not just to clarify, I'm keeping a large Stranger Things collection, but I purposely bought a lot of duplicates. It's kind of like what we talk about. If you like something, it's inexpensive, then try to snag up as many as you can. That's kind of what I did. All right, go ahead.
Well, it's just like the Game of Thrones stuff. At the last second, I decided to just stack up a pile of, say, anywhere between $15 to $25 low, cheaper, smaller characters from the show, because I had them. They came in a big bulk lot when I bought another card. And then I had about 5, maybe 6 of the decent, well-known characters. And then I had the 2 graded Kit Haringtons. And I had those slabbed. I had those tagged at $500 a piece. There was a raw copy on my eBay watch list for $499 of the exact same card that I had in a 9 auto 10. One person came and bought that first day. You were there that first hour, the whole stack. They bought the Kit Harington and the whole stack of other 25 or so autographs that were there.
And then it was a dealer because I saw them again.
Yeah. So then I had the other Kit Harington in my case. I didn't get it out. Then I put it out in the showcase, and it went to the last day. And then on the last day, I sold it. So both of the bigger items that I had from Game of Thrones both sold. So I still have a bunch of like $5 to $10, $15 autos, maybe another 10 more that I didn't take because I didn't have room in my case, that I'm just probably going to send out to DC Sports or something and see if I get $5 to $10 a piece for them. I wish I would have just taken them to the show and cashed it out like that. But the pop culture stuff, I don't have. I mean, funny story is Dustin had to walk away from the table, and you had everything tagged except like the big piece in the center, the Millie Bobby Brown. And I'm like, if somebody comes up and they want to buy that, how much do you want for it? And you're like $3K, right? I want $3K. So, okay. Dustin leaves. Like 2 minutes later, somebody walks up and they're like looking at him. They're like, "Oh man, how much for the Millie Bobby Brown?" And I'm like, that one's $4K right there. But I'll settle for $3,500. No, it's just
Steve's trying to make a quick 500 off.
Well, there's one.
The best part is you would have came back to the table and Steve would have been like, "You're never gonna believe it. I sold that card for $3,100."
Yeah.
And dinner's on me.
Sorry, man. I messed up. I sold it. Yeah, he's like, "Sorry, man, I messed up. I accidentally sold it for $2,000. I'm so sorry." And then he put like $2,000 in his pocket.
Sold it for $3,100, and dinner's on me. Something's up.
There's one on eBay that's listed at I think $3,500, and another one at $7,500. It's numbered to 25. So,
hey, at least you didn't have a mispriced sticker on it. That's never happened to an influencer that walks away from his table.
Oof.
Shots fired. Look, I made a quick flip. Like, I don't normally buy inventory at a show, then put it back into my showcase. And I bought that Nick Saban, Allen, and Ginter on the first day.
Yeah.
And I said in my video, I said, I just picked this up for $500. I'm going to go. The last comp was actually $915. I said, I'm going to go sticker it for $750. And if I can sell it for $700, I make $200. Somebody gets a deal. So it'll be priced to sell because the last comp is really good. And that's exactly what happened. I put $750 on it. And a guy walked up to the table. It was like, "I'll give you $700 for the Saban." Well, he was like $650. I was like, "Nah, $7's the lowest I can go." It was like, "You can check the last comp if you want." And he checked the last comp and sold it. The other thing is that I told you there was another Jon Snow Kit Harington auto, just like the 2 that I had graded on eBay Raw. That sold off my watch list during the show. So a comp got established for that card, which there was no recent sales. So, and I, when they were buying the person who bought the second one, they actually looked it up and saw the comp. They were like, "Oh man, a raw copy just did 500." And I had mine stickered at 500. I could have probably had it a little bit higher because it was graded well, but it was all good because I had, probably close to doubled up on that card. So, but the Simpsons sold, the Family Guy autographs sold, and I bought those for like $20 a piece and graded them with SGC.
Yeah,
and sold them for like 60. So I made like $20 a piece on those.
You had a lot of your stuff priced to sell, though.
Yeah. To be fair,
you bought it for 20, you graded it, so you're in like $35, $38, and you sold it for 60, or you sold it for 55, or whatever. Like most of the time, dealers, it's like they do that and they have it stickered at 100 or whatever, and it sits there, or 120 or whatever, But you had your stuff priced to sell. I thought I didn't see any Caitlin Clark cards. Now, granted, I I didn't get to move around as much just because we were set up there, but I didn't see any Caitlin Clarks. I know that there was that huge sale over the weekend for what, 80 grand or something for the Superfractor, but I didn't see any other cards there. Did you, Steve?
I did not. I didn't see any Caitlin Clark stuff selling. I think I might have saw some Bowman U stuff in cases, but I didn't have anybody asking me for it, or I didn't see anybody with it, like out in their cases and things like that. I do have a Bobby Brown the Singer autograph, though, Bushliggers. It's on a Ghostbusters card, pack pooled.
I know I just sold some, I had some Caitlin Clark base Bowman U firsts that were in the ComC shipment I just sent, and they got uploaded yesterday, and I priced them last night for like $10 or whatever, which is like what they go for, and they were both sold before I woke up this morning.
Wow.
And that was just like her base chrome is like $10 raw, which seems pretty good for a woman's college card.
Yeah, are the Bowman U's always, when that stuff comes out, is it always hot? Like, I feel like this year it's extra hot, probably just because everything's backed up. But I mean,
well, I think it got a little extra juice because they made that Sapphire release this year, and like everybody's loved that product.
Okay.
So, but I think people are coming around on the college stuff, at least for the short window that, before you get pro uniforms. And you're also getting it earlier now too. Like now we're at the point where you're getting like when I opened my Bowman Sapphire, I pulled Marvin Harrison Jr., but I pulled the other Ohio State wide receiver who was like their #1 recruit this year. So like that guy's actually got some legit runway as a Bowman first card because he really hasn't done anything yet, and he's still going to be at Ohio State for 2 more years.
Well, did you see Panini signed an Ohio State quarterback, 5-star prospect? It's either Ohio State or another big school, but this kid just signed an exclusive with Panini to sign autos. He's not even in college yet. This is a 5-star prospect. I mean, like some of these guys might have autos, for 4 years before they ever even get into the NFL. So, I mean, yeah, that college product that used to be kind of garbage because, a few months later, you're going to get like the pro uni autos. Those days might be over. Like there might actually be like quite a bit of runway for those college unis, for a lot of the college uni stuff.
Yeah, because they're getting those kids younger now. Before you get them as like seniors. So there was basically, and the products were delayed. So you were getting them like, you were getting college firsts when they're like already drafted on a team. And I think there is an angle too. Like I have that PSA sub coming back. I sent in a Caleb Williams just base Sapphire in that shipment, and part of the play is just to have it in my hands for the night of the NFL draft. As soon as he gets drafted by someone, throw it up on eBay, and whatever team he goes to, someone's going to FOMO into or want a card of him right away, and there's just no availability yet. So it's just a supply thing.
Real quick on this, Steve, you said Bobby Brown. Were you kidding about the Ghostbusters card, or is that for real?
Oh, I have one.
No, but does that mean that there's also like Bill Murray pack pulled?
There's not. There's Dan Aykroyd.
Are you serious? What year is that?
I'm not telling you. I buy them all up.
Oh my God!
So like Michael Jackson said, just leave me alone.
Dustin's like, I'm ending the stream early, boys.
Dan Aykroyd.
Come on, give me a second. I'll show you.
Yeah, share.
You must not watch my videos.
On eBay. Why are you writing notes?
If you watch my videos, you would have known this months ago.
Oh, now you're making the gimp get up and walk around. Poor Steve.
Steve's all excited though. I didn't know. Look, I don't know if there's
left out of that chair.
Yeah, he fired up out of that thing. I'm excited for the new movie. It actually looks pretty good.
I watched a trailer for it the other day.
Yeah, it looks good. You all right, Steve?
He's still trying to get up out of the chair.
What's up, Manu?
We got a celebrity in the house. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. Everybody be on your P's and Q's. We got 99 newsstand here. Don't screw this up.
I'm ready to show you a card. You know why? Because it's my prerogative to do so.
Oh, I see what you did there.
See, that's the Ghostbusters, Bobby Brown.
Oh, Lord. I'm going to spend the next 2 hours on eBay after the stream.
It's on card. There's also an Arsenio Hall one in there because he did the voice of the cartoon Winston. So there's Arsenio Hall.
How did I miss this?
There's also a Larry King in there. There is the Dan Aykroyd, of course. There is.
What about Spangler?
I don't think so. So they did some of the characters from the real show, and they did and they did the voice actors from the animated one. So that's why Arsenio Hall in there. Ernie Hudson has one also for the real live action Winston character.
Okay.
So you got Ernie Hudson, Dan Aykroyd, and then you got like Larry King, Bobby Brown.
Or not Sigourney
No.
Weaver. Or is it Sigourney Weaver? Yeah.
Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver don't have one in there.
Or man, it'd be cool to have a Zool Otto.
Yeah, there is other characters like Janine and
I want a Janine Otto.
Like
man,
I think there's a Janine.
What a babe Janine was. Good Lord. All right. Value on the Khal Drago card. Steve, do you know anything about that?
I don't really. He is one of the stronger characters when you get past Daenerys, Jon Snow, and then you get into like Macy Williams and Peter Dinklage. The Jason Momoa kind of sits in there a little bit above Dinklage and Macy Williams. Just all depends. For him, honestly, I think his Aquaman cards sell for more money because there's a DC Comics set and he signs in that on the Aquaman card because Khal Drago kind of like died early in the series. So
I know you mentioned on your video, but do you want to talk about your vintage pickup and then also your strategy around vintage or no?
Well, yeah. And I mean, while I'm shooting a video, my video tomorrow is going to kind of explain where I'm standing at already for the year of 2024 and my spending tendencies and how I divide out, money for my PC and money to continue to fund my PC because I flip to buy PC cards.
Hot tub money.
And it's kind of like we're a month into 2024 and I've already bought 2 big PC cards where last year I bought a vintage card in March at the Philly show. I bought a Star Wars autograph in July at the National. This year I bought a vintage card and a Star Wars autograph in the month of January. This time last year I was buying Jordan Love. And, the quarterbacks I was buying, Jordan Love might have been one that I left out. I did good on Jared Goff. I did good on Jordan Love, but Jordan Love was the first one that I sold as soon as Aaron Rodgers got traded. But
you've had some leftover inventory. I mean, like those Game of Thrones autos, you bought those in Atlantic City. That was like 18 months ago.
5 or 6 of them I did. And then another one I bought a large lot of them.
That's right. They sent you
5 months ago or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Simpsons stuff sold. All of my Walking Dead autographs sold, both Andrew Lincoln's and the Jeffrey Dean Morgan Negan card. They all sold what I had them stickered at. I sold all 3, actually. I had them stickered at $500, and I sold all 3 of them to the same buyer for $14, for $100 off of the sticker. So, I was buying that stuff raw. I sold a Sookie Stackhouse True Blood and a Pac-Man autograph.
The one thing that's interesting about non-sports is, and just entertainment cards, a lot of it is not graded. So, there is an opportunity there. It's not to say like you graded, it's like 5X or anything, but there are opportunities with because a lot of the stuff is just ungraded out there and people want graded cards. A lot, especially if it's sports card people that are crossing over and buying some of that stuff.
I bought like I said, I just sold an Anna Paquin. I bought raw for $100. I sent it to SGC for $15. And like you said, there's not any of that stuff out there slabbed. So I wanted to have it slabbed quickly in return. So it didn't really matter that it was an SGC case as opposed to a PSA case. I sold it for $225. Right. I was 115 in with my grading fee. I made $110 on it. I didn't quite double up, but that's a good sale in today's market.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't want to spec on players, non-sports entertainment is an interesting, it's an interesting space for sure. All right.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead.
I have that Pedro Pascal auto, and someone put one up for auction, and it went for freaking $5K.
Woof.
And then there was a base. There was a base that was sitting at 4,200, and as soon as the auction ended, someone banged the bin on the 4,200. Like the auction basically forced someone to bin the other one because just the market shifted up.
Yeah. And again, it's an awareness thing, I think, with the pop culture stuff, because like you were just sitting there not even aware of the Ghostbusters cards.
Right.
I was buying these Bobby Browns. I buying for $30,
by that.
right?
I'm really annoyed by that. Yeah, I'm busy.
Missed $30. I bought a Bobby Brown on card pack pulled auto. I mean, to me, as somebody, he was pretty famous in my era, so $30 seemed pretty good. And it only takes somebody else from my generation to like Bobby Brown
on eBay
to
right
give me
now.
50 for it.
No, I'm not. That's not what I'm doing.
I mean, all of the $30 ones might be gone because, you know, if I see something cheap that I think is got potential, or not potential, but somebody will like when they see it. Like, how many people ask questions about the Bernie Mac autograph that I had? That thing was like, it ended up selling. And I got a lot of questions for it on it. I didn't know if it would sell or not.
That's furiously searching.
Interesting. Yeah.
I had my Stephen King autograph out just for show and tell, and so many people try to buy that off me.
That's nuts. I cannot believe that I've never
Do you see him?
before. Yeah. What the hell?
You slipping. You see, you stuck in the upside down, man. All you know is Stranger Things.
Hey, it's been good. Stranger Things has been good.
Yeah. Oh, it's good.
How much? You're Bobby Brown. That was a good price you got it for.
Oh yeah, it was $40 for OBO, and I paid $30 for it. They might, I don't know. Some of them might be sitting there at 60 or something like that, but
yeah, one's at like 130 on ComC, but yeah. Oh, there's the Dan Aykroyd. Oh my God! But
the Dan Aykroyd usually runs about.
Auto.
The autograph was terrible.
Yeah, he's streaky. He's streaky on his auto. They usually run about $200. But some of them he inscribed just randomly.
I see that. Some of these are inscribed.
Yeah.
Dustin, how much are you going to charge Steve for all this Ghostbuster?
Just like Arsenio Hall, he inscribed like Wolf on some of his and things.
At Culture Collision in September, I'm gonna have a whole table of Ghostbusters autos.
When is that show? Did they set a date yet for September, or is it still nebulous?
September 25th. There's not a Bill Murray auto, Brad.
No, sorry, Brad. There's no Bill Murray.
I would pay.
Now you got to now because we're talking about these. I'm also I got to. People make the Bill Murray card like a custom card. Don't get tricked by it. Don't get tricked by it, because they will make a card that looks just like this, but it'll kind of have like Bill Murray like imprinted on there, and it'll be like signed, and then like and you know, a lot of people do that with cards of you see a lot of custom cards nowadays of celebrities and music stars and television stars and things like that, because they don't have cards. So the only option is to have a custom card, whether they sign it, you know, and then they just get it slabbed and it just says card. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's they do it for sports cards too, but you'll see that with pop culture where it's PSA DNA. You know, like you have to make sure you're paying attention that it's pack pulled and not like, you know, not that the PSA DNA stuff is terrible, but you just got to know what you're buying.
Right.
I am going to go to Culture Collision in September. I haven't decided if I'm going to buy a table, but I'll definitely be there. Yeah, I'll be there. It's a 5.5 hour drive for me, so it's worth it. And I can also hit up Cards HQ too, so I can just kind of like wrap it all in one. Yeah. Yeah, Steve had some good videos. Steve the vlogger.
It's mostly me walking through a hotel very slowly.
Added to the suspense.
What's around this corner?
Is Steve gonna fall over in this video?
Yeah, that's pretty much what they said. They said if there was a zombie apocalypse, you know, everybody was safe because all they had to do was outrun me.
The Bobby Brown was just sold for $54 from Australia. There you go.
You're pumping in real time.
In real time, it's happening.
No, I'm not. I bought a Bobby Brown Ghostbusters card. That's
how much
somebody asked me about it.
Steve, remember to send the 10%.
I just said
you doubled the value on that card just by talking about it.
Yeah.
Hey, look.
Yeah.
Where's AIH? Get AIH and Dan in here right now.
If somebody is a card collector and they like Bobby Brown themselves, they probably bought it for themselves.
Yeah,
because it's cool to discover stuff that you didn't know existed, especially if it's something of somebody that you really like.
All right, I'm answering Manu. Yeah, an inscription is basically where they sign their name and then they write something, you know, Ghostbusters or Go Team or whatever. So it's just like an added message or something, or maybe even a picture, a drawing on it. That would be an inscription next to the autograph. So the inscription just adds a little flavor, you know, if it's to differentiate it from the other ones.
Think about it like a remark for a comic book.
Yes. Now, well, hell, now I got to go back and look at everything. Now I got to go look at every 80s movie. Are there Jaws cards too? With auto?
No, well, there's
Yeah, there's
Jaws
Shark.
cards, but
The
I
Shark
don't think
has
there's autographs.
autos.
An actual. No, well, hell, we got Disney autographs by Nemo.
Game used tooth.
Guys, people are spending $1,000 on Nemo autographs. So, I mean, if there's Jaws autographs, I mean, come on.
Bush Leaguer's Bobby Brown was married to Whitney Houston, and she passed away.
Whitney Houston auto card. If there's the bodyguard packs cards, I'm all over that. I didn't see a lot of vintage non-sports, but there was some there. Yes,
there was one table. Well, one vendor. He was probably about 4 or 5 tables across, and he had a lot, a lot. So much that you really, I mean, you could have spent the whole day probably looking at it because it was all different and it was all interesting. So there was that, but I didn't see a whole lot of other. And it was priced up. One of the cards I looked at was the 1931 Wills Disney, which is a very popular, vintage non-sports card. And he had it in a PSA 7 and it was priced around $2,600. And I think I own that card. So I was like, I said, I wish it was worth what he's got it stickered at, because I think it's worth probably about $1,000 to maybe $1,100-1,200 less than that. It might be more like a $1,300 card. So unless I don't check the price on that card because it's a personal collection card. So, but yeah, there wasn't like I said in my video, not just non-sports. There wasn't a lot of vintage at all. Like there was vintage sports. Don't get me wrong. There was, football and baseball, not a whole lot of basketball. Like I said, basketball's a little more rare, I feel like, than the other vintage anyway. But
yeah. But not as many sets, nowhere near as many.
Yeah, there just wasn't as much of it. Like, especially when you're used to going to a Philly show or even Chantilly, like I am. There's my local shows. So the card that I bought, I probably saw maybe 2 of them in the room, and one of them was just graded way out of my price range. I had to get a low grade, so I'm sure if I went to Philly, I would probably be able to find more options on that card, though.
You kind of mentioned it there, but I know you guys both talked about this in your videos. So, like, macro level wise, how was pricing overall fair, about what you'd expected? Like, half the show actually wants to sell stuff, and half the show is just like, pay double my comp.
I don't have a good answer just because I don't feel like I got to walk around like I normally would, to be able to really eyeball it. I mean, I wasn't paying attention the same way that I would have been if I was, just walking the show. So I don't feel like I can answer it very well. It did seem like the dollar box low end stuff was doing just fine, but I just can't speak to anything that was, I mean, I felt like just I sold, a $200 card. I sold a $400 card. I mean, those are getting tougher, to sell, so I felt pretty good about some of my stuff, but I don't know, Steve, what did you think? Did you get a chance to walk around and look at stuff?
Yeah. And I'm going to tie this in with a comment that someone asked a little while back about Culture Collision and where we possibly could see, the pricing market coming out of that show going in the future. I can't find that comment now. If you're the one that put that comment in the chat and you're still here, retype it for me or something so that I can,
or just give me
it for you while I answer this question. I can't find the comment, so I can't give you the time. Okay. 8:26, 562 slabs. So that's like 20 minutes ago. Sure. I mean, we're caught up. We just that one got skipped over. So our thoughts on the prices of cards in the market in the near future. That's always hard to dictate. This time of year, with it being tax return season, disposable income is kind of there for a lot of more people. So you're going to see more sales this time of year than you are, say, in a November, October, even December type thing. As far as Culture Collision goes, what I saw was if you're one of the hot players today, like I talked about earlier, Wemby, Chet, any 4 of the quarterbacks that were still in the playoffs at the time, we still had 4 quarterbacks to play. You were priced fairly. Okay. your prices were high because you had a lot of hype built in, but it's not like people were trying to gouge you for CJ Stroud, who was eliminated, but he was hot. People weren't trying to gouge you for Patrick Mahomes. Lamar Jackson had a little bit more built into him. I feel like Brock Purdy wasn't moving a whole lot. I don't know if it's because people didn't have faith in the Niners or if they feel like Christian McCaffrey, if the 49ers win, he's more likely to get MVP than Purdy. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. Lamar Jackson was a little bit priced over his market because I feel like people were assuming the Ravens were going to win the Super Bowl. You could have bought a Patrick Mahomes Prism rookie probably on Friday for like $2,800, and now it's $4K, right? So, and I had to check and see if there's auctions are legit. But anyway, because that card's been shilled to hell in the past. But I would say vintage, it's always hard to price because it's an eye appeal thing. It's hard to say, okay, well, a PSA 5 is comping at this much. Yeah, but when you're getting into low-grade vintage, it's all going to look different. So the prices are going to be over. There was a PSA 5 Jim Brown rookie card that was priced about a third higher than the normal comp, and it was priced higher than a bunch of 6s that I saw because it had dead centering on it. I mean, perfect.
Yeah.
Now, the cards that were overpriced are cards in my mind, and I'm making an assumption here, an educated guess, are cards that people are upside down on. For instance, Kyler Murray, like players that we're talking about that are down. I still feel like there's a fear of selling them and taking that loss that they're going to have to take, and they would rather wait it out and hope that there's a rebound, because every Kyler Murray card that I saw, and that wasn't many, that might have been 3, was priced, one of them was priced double of comps, and one of them was priced 33% above comps without the dealers wanting to move. So one was a PSA 9 Color Blast Kyler Murray that they wanted $1,000 for, but that card's $700 all day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was, and you saw these in my video, the other one was a Panini 1 out of 125, and the exact same card. And I know Panini 1 has different variations, but I'm talking about the exact same card in a parallel out of 95 or out of 99 and out of like 65 or something, sold for $94 and $107. This guy wanted $240 for his out of 125, and really wouldn't come down. If he was going to come down, it was going to be to like 200, which is still double what they were selling for. So I feel like it's I feel like cards that people, there's some cards that people are just feel like they're married to them, and they're just going to go down with the ship rather than cut ties, hope for a rebound. And but there was stuff that was fairly priced. There was stuff that was priced to move. It's different. Like every single table was different. So to say that prices were overpriced, that would be false. There was some. To say that they were fairly priced, I mean, it would all just be like, it just depended on what you were looking at. But I would say the stuff that's popular in the market today, which tend to dominate most of the showcases, was priced fair. The stuff that has fallen off over the last year or two, like even like Zion, is either not for sale because people are scared to sell it, hoping for a rebound, or they're still wanting to get prices from a year or two ago.
I think people are getting smarter about wanting unique stuff. I think people, there's some fatigue with looking at the same damn cards all the time, and the same, buying and selling the same sort of stuff. And so now I think people are just kind of venturing out, and that whole like buy what you like, love thing. I think it's kind of a lame-o type saying. I understand the thought of don't be a follower, but at the same time, I think a lot more people are, instead of just going after the typical thing, they're looking for unique items that interest them. And
vintage baseball is like growing popular even with the younger crowd. Like some of the kids that you see at the trade nights and things like that always just want what we're talking about, the modern stuff. They will be like, hey, do you have a Mantle or a Jackie Robinson or something? And I don't know if it's because they feel like there's more safety in that stuff. I can tell you that I bought a 48 Bowman Stan Musial rookie about a month after I bought the Willie Mays last year. That card's actually gone up in value, or it's selling for more now than what I bought it for. a couple $100, and I bought mine for like 900 and a PSA 3.5, and like threes are selling for like 1100. During a time when the market is down, that stuff's still desirable. Even my Frank Robinson, and Frank Robinson's not the biggest name in vintage. He's a great player, but the one that I bought hasn't seen any decreases in value. If anything, it's seen little upticks. So I don't know if vintage is going to become, I mean, even for myself, like I would be a hypocrite to say, I don't know if it's going to become the flavor of the week for some of the flippers out there. I would be a hypocrite to say that because it's something that I'm also gravitating to as well, right? So I have to throw myself in that same group of people who are starting to get attracted to the vintage cards. Now, for me, it's more of I want vintage for my personal collection. 10 years, 15 years down the road, I just feel more comfortable having it. So, and this strayed from the question that we had, but it was just a topic because he asked about the market. So,
Neo, did you want to talk about Manny Ramirez cards for a few minutes?
Hey, he's signing at the National.
Oh, is he really?
They announced him as a signer at the National.
Have you met him before?
Oh, really?
No.
Are you going to do it? Do a signing?
Probably. I mean, if as long as the timing works out and the pricing's not insane, why not?
Yeah. And
they announced Cal Ripken Jr. today too.
Oh, really? Okay. Sweet.
Let's see.
What else?
Neo, you were supposed to hit us with a barrage of questions.
Well,
if anybody else
took 25 minutes to answer one question.
But I answered your question. I answered somebody. I took out like 3 or 4 questions in a row.
Knocked down
and I also probably prevented a bunch of other questions from coming in. You see, planning for the future.
So between basketball, football, baseball, and non-sports, like how would you rank those in terms of like, I guess vibes at the like interest levels at the show? Now, take it more from like a macro perspective. Obviously, you guys had a lot of non-sports at your table, but just like at trade nights, what you were seeing transact.
I don't see like basketball feels dead to me. Like it feels like it's baseball, football, and like basketball is just kind of an afterthought. I know people buy and sell basketball, but I just don't see it.
I feel like basketball is Chet, Wemby, Halliburton, the GOATs. And another thing I didn't talk about when he asked me about the future of market prices in the near future, as long as repackers keep buying the way that they're buying, the stuff's not going to plummet. The repackers are developing basement for a lot of different types of cards. It's not your high-end Mahomes and your $1,000 Strouds and things like that, but it's what I would call nice filler cards, premium filler cards. I know when you say the word like a filler card, you think of, oh, that must be a shit card, but something that somebody would be happy to get, even if it's not worth the monetary value that they paid for a repack. If they paid $200 for a repack and they got a card that was $100, they took a $100 hit. But if it's a really nice card, it helps soften the blow, I'm going to guess. I don't buy repacks. I don't participate. I'm just thinking like that's probably, what you're looking at. I do know people who buy for repackers, and that's what they tell me. Also, they tell me it's vet autos, Hall of Fame and vet autos, and it can be anybody. That John Stockton, Isaiah Thomas. It doesn't have to be your top 10 names. Just guys that people know that are Hall of Famers. Joe Namath. I mean, how many? I sold my Joe Namath like that. Michael Hamm put his Joe Namath in my showcase and had a bazillion inquiries about it. Your Joe Namath, had a lot of attention on it. Joe Namath is a $200 to $300 card. So just stuff like that.
How was the baseball vibes with like that quickly approaching?
I feel like as long as the football playoffs are still going, that the baseball was kind of slow. I can speak for myself only. But I even said to Michael Hamm one day when I was strolling, I said, it's easy for me to walk by some of these booths because they're strictly modern baseball. So that was my feeling. But there are people that like baseball. I don't establish the trends. I'm just saying I would stop at vintage baseball tables. But if it was modern Bowman, Bowman color, Bowman autos, Bowman first, Topps chromes, things like that of young players, I can't do baseball like that. And I feel like people were more so generated around, excited around the players that are still playing, because those players are actually in the spotlight right now. And it was the four quarterbacks, it was CJ Stroud, and then the basketball players that I named. There was definitely more football. Baseball had to be third. There's no way baseball was modern was outselling football or basketball at this show.
How just to switch gears a little bit. So, how long until I have a Cards HQ in like every major city in the country?
The Raleigh store opens at Christmas this year.
Are you general manager of that branch? Or?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
how was like you guys were actually in the room?
What's funny is
happened?
I had talked to him about that going back a while when I first learned about like this thing that was coming, and he was kind of like not really. He's like, like probably a no, not really thinking about that. But I think as time has gone on, he's maybe opening. He's kind of thinking more on that. But I wouldn't anticipate one anytime soon. But it would be interesting.
Was the store as impressive in person as it looks in videos?
Yeah. I mean, and I guess too, you could probably do like a smaller version of that store, because if it's more set up to be a digital card shop, it's got, obviously it's a brick and mortar, but that's not really the heavy focus. You could do a 2,000 or 3,000 square foot deal, like a smaller kind of version of that store, and maybe have those be pop-up stores in different locations. I guess it'll just depend on what works, what doesn't work. They're going to just have to learn, kind of see how that all.
Yeah, it's way too early on something like that. I mean, would they open their doors to the public tomorrow? And it's kind of like, some people are waiting with bated breath for it to fail, and some people are like, this would be great for the hobby if it's a success. So, that's like sometimes the ultimate divide in what we do. But, I mean, the concept seems amazing, and seeing it in person was awesome.
But executing the vision, like Kent doesn't work. Will it execute? Because also, it's going to depend a lot on his people. You're hiring people in. You don't know who's going to pan. I mean, like you've worked at places where it's like you might get hired along with 10 other people, and 3 weeks later, half of them are gone. Or whatever. Like
or you need more.
Or you need more, or you need less, or whatever. So they're going to have to, I just think it's going to be such, it's going to be touch and go for a while, just until they get,
it's going to be staffing. It's going to be inventory. Now, wax will always sell, but it's going to be singles. Are they really going to hold true to a couple different models? Okay. Are they going to hold true to the no negotiating? And are they going to hold true to if it sits in the showcase for 30 days, it gets recycled out? Because if that's the case, they're probably going to go through a lot of stale inventory that's going to go to auction houses. And then when they go to auction houses, are they getting at least back what they paid for the card, because they had to buy the inventory to begin with? And I think they were buying it like 70 to 75%.
Yeah. And I think too, they probably need the inventory now, so they're going to pay strong, but every card shop on the planet, and also hell, going back in time when we were kids, like the card shop was paying more like 10%. The card shop was paying you in like packs, for good cards. They weren't, so
but I don't know that they could do that anymore though, because now it's just way easier to just sell the card yourself.
Yeah, but there's also the convenience of if you buy it in store, if you break it in store, or you're in store, plus if he does store credit. So maybe he gives you a more aggressive store credit, then okay, then maybe you're like, hell yeah, I could sell it, but you don't want to go through the hassle of doing that. And then I think you also have to assume that there's going to be new people that are coming in that haven't been doing this for years, that are going to be like, what, sell on eBay? Yeah, I've got to pack it up. Like they might just be like, I don't want to deal with any of that. So there might be a convenience factor to just trading it back in, like it's like GameStop, where you buy your game, you trade it back in, get a store credit or whatever. I don't know though. I'm speculating. I've never owned a card shop, so I don't know.
I'm curious to see what it's going to look like when like the breaking stuff is all fully up and running. Like when he's like, are they going to be able to like sustain running like, 3 or 4 breakers at a time with all those different booths, plus a little arena thing and all that? Like if they can legitimately sustain that, then they'll be fine. Because in all honesty, I think people are kind of like missing the bigger picture of like everyone's getting hung up on the no negotiation on singles. in the grand scheme of things, the singles thing is probably, just a portion of that overall pie. Like, there's the breaking, there's the content, there's the marketing for the app. Like it all ties, there's so many moving pieces amongst that whole entire thing. And people are focused on like this one little slice of it.
Right. And I saw dealers in there on the trade night, not just dealers, but a lot of people, but I specifically say dealers because when dealers buy, they need to buy, they're buying with the intention to resell. So they need to be able to buy where they think there's enough margin for them to make money. And I saw a couple dealers walking through and they had stacks of slabs out of the.
I talked to one in particular that bought 100 slabs on trade night, over 100 slabs. So
that's probably one that I'm referring to too.
Probably. Yeah. But I mean, to your point though, there has to be a little bit of juice on the back end for them to even bother. So, I don't.
And I know,
Okay. Not funny. It says 30 days, and then not funny in the comment section says just wait 30 days and then buy it cheaper at auction. Here's the thing you guys are all forgetting about. I would be willing to bet that the stuff they send to auction, if they send it on Whatnot, it'll probably end up selling for close to what they had it stickered at, if not more, because it's just the nature of Whatnot. If you have a massive following
auctions
and you sell on Whatnot, there's a decent chance it's going to go for more than what it probably should.
I mean, even on eBay, how many times do you see an auction run higher than something that's sitting next, the exact same card sitting next to it for buy it now? Because people don't like to be told what they have to pay for something. It's kind of a human psyche thing. No, I'm not going to pay your price. I'm going to pay more on this auction because of impulse.
They could also.
And then on Whatnot, you have like the 15 seconds or whatever it is. So you don't even have time to like research a comp. You get caught up in the moment.
Impulse. Yeah.
Well, remember too, he wasn't against doing his own repack product, but doing it in a certain way where there's checklist and there's all that. So, I mean,
that's true too.
Look, if he sets himself up like a hit parade, to where he's also got a repack product with a checklist and he's doing it kind of like doing it like, by the book, whatever,
There's something that I'm curious about though, because like I said, repackers are propping up the prices on certain types of cards. But how many repackers can there be before there becomes serious competition between the repackers? If someone brought cards to my table, right, and I'm like, I can be at 70-75% because I'm going to sell at 85%, right? Somebody is going to be like, I'm going over to, first of all, they could have went to the Cards HQ purchase center, said that I sold cards to Jeff Wilson and Cards HQ and got 75%, or they can be like, I'm going to find whichever repacker is paying 80 to 90. So inventory, there's going to be a competition for inventory. And I feel like there already is. Like people like me who send out feelers on Instagram and on Veriswap and things like that, looking for cards. I'm not getting a lot of hits back because there are lots of people out there right now, not just repackers, struggling for the same type of inventory, whether it's people buying for the repackers or the repackers themselves.
And look at grading. I mean, grading's at a price point where on a lot of cards, you can make the argument, I get this, like it makes sense, especially if you're going to go to either a repacker or you're going to go, to Whatnot or whatever, I mean, so you just see the whole thing kind of moves together.
And my thing is that if you run out of inventory, you don't have a product, right? You don't have it. And there's stuff getting broken every day. So I know that there's cards coming out, there's breaks. Some of the people who repack are also breakers. So they probably buy cards directly back from people who are breaking with them and double dipping. But what I'm going to say is if there's not constant inventory, some repackers, aren't going to be able to compete. Like say there's a repacker paying 90% and somebody else is like, I just can't pay 90%. And then slowly they run out of inventory because people are selling to the person paying a premium. I don't know. I'm just speculating on it. There's going to probably be some sort of survival of the fittest when it comes to the repackers, just like it kind of happens with the breakers, right? So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see and how long this plays out and how long repacks even stay popular. If Fanatics lowers the price on wax, it will hurt repacks. So we don't really know.
I don't even think it's so much Fanatics lowering the price on wax. I think it's the Panini side of the wax equation that's out of whack.
Well, just the prices in general. I mean, not to be specific, but if prices of wax come down just in general, that will hurt repacks.
If we ever get the slightest whiff that regulation is coming to repacks, sell every card that you own that you're not personally tied to, because the market will probably tank.
JG has a question. He says, which way is it? Inventory shortage or junk slab era? The thing is that the stuff that the repackers are buying are junk slabs. I mean, when you're talking about junk slabs, you're talking about PSA 9 base Prism rookies. Like, I'm talking about what I said earlier, vet autos, Hall of Fame autos that tend to bounce between that $200 to $400 price range. And, you know, they just keep getting pumped out in the product. NT, Flawless, Noir, all, you know, the nicer products, mostly on-card stuff. That's the stuff that the repackers are buying when I talk about people wanting inventory. So repackers aren't buying a $10 slab and putting it in a repack. If they are, they need to be ousted from the hobby.
Well, maybe they've got the $10 ones and then you've got the bigger hits in there. You know,
it just depends on the price. If the price of the repack is $15,
how much depends on the price of the repack? I get that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, depending on the price of the repack, but I mean, what is going to if you're selling a $15 repack, how big is the chase card?
Right.
You know, what is your risk reward?
Yeah.
Yeah, the repack stuff's just absolutely crazy.
You don't really think though that the price of new product is going to drop. Like I just don't think that. Not enough for it to be I just don't see it dropping enough to where you feel it. It's not going to be like it was 5 years ago. I don't think ever, like at least for a while.
I think it's just a matter of what I mean, we don't know, but like, all right, a hobby box of Prism is like, let's just call it $800. Topps Chrome Baseball Jumbo, which is basically the equivalent, if not better, because it's 3 autos instead of 1. Same amount of parallels, chases, etc., is like $350 to $400. So when we get Topps Chrome basketball and football, like, what does Fanatics price that at? Does it go in line with where their baseball products priced at, or do they try to slide in at that higher price point, or do they like split the difference and be like, oh, we're more expensive than baseball, but look, we're way cheaper than Panini was.
But do they print twice as much of it? So it's like, yeah, it's a $400 box, but there's twice as much of it print. Like they could really, you know, blow it out. And I guess you're right though. Technically, it's like that is a cheaper price point, and maybe you're still chasing the same lower, you know, the lower parallels, and they just print more base cards, you know, or whatever. Like you're still chasing the same.
Come out with more variations.
More variations. Yeah, I mean.
Which it just depends on what you're going for. You know, if you're just ripping product, you want that stuff in there, because even if you lose, like you're going to lose on most boxes that you open, but it's all about the way that you feel after you open the box. You know, if I open an $800 box of Prism and I hit $50 worth of cards, I feel like an idiot. If you open a $350 box of Topps Chrome or a $300 Bowman's Best box, maybe you hit a couple cool autos, a couple cool parallels. Maybe it's like $100 worth of cards, but you don't feel like you want to jump off a bridge afterwards, because the experience of ripping it felt better. And even if you got kicked in the nuts.
It probably means, and then you grade it out or whatever, it probably means there's going to be a heavy concentration of that, like lower to mid end, like the, you know, the $50 to $200 cards. There's going to be a tremendous amount of supply on that stuff because of what you're talking about. They're going to want to try to bridge the gap of, you know, maybe a less expensive hobby box, but they also don't want you to have just $5 coming out of a $400 box. They want you to be able to like, okay, they can probably, you know, they grade out these autos, get $100 out of a $300 or $400 box. And that's not the end of the world in you know, like in comparison to what we're seeing.
Yeah. Chad is saying that
talking about Top Series 1, like Top Series 1 should be printed to the moon. That's exactly what that product's designed for. Like if you're going to cry about,
but they're talking about
printed to the moon, like,
and isn't it like $90? It's like $100 for a hobby box because of that.
Yeah, hobby box is $80, and a jumbo box with a guaranteed auto is like $150 to $160.
So yeah, you're just opening cards.
No, but they're talking about how they, I guess, Fanatics acquired UFC.
Yeah, that happened earlier today.
Did you guys drop videos on it?
Nah, that's not real. I'll talk about it in the Sunday video.
Yeah.
It's big news for the UFC collectors, man. They need love too.
All 3 of them.
I'll have to wrap it in because I can't make a dedicated video to that, I don't think.
But yeah, that's the thing. Like, this is something that Dakota's talked about in his Discord a bunch. Like, if you're a fan, if you just want to rip a football box, as like a casual,
they got to have
not a good option.
Yeah, they got to have that top series 1 for football.
Yeah, because even Don Russ is freaking expensive, which would be like basically be like the equivalent, and actually it'd probably be lower than that. Like Phoenix came out this week. It's a cool product. No one cares about the singles from Phoenix. It's like $500-$600 a box.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go back to Bowman's Best again because that came out 2 weeks ago. It's $300 a box. You get 4 on-card autos. They're not like the most spectacular cards in the world. Most people don't chase Bowman's Best singles, but that's like $200 cheaper, and you get way better stuff out of it. And this is also too with Panini. You can't even get a Stroud auto or a Bryce Young auto. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the top guys in the class aren't even in there for auto chases. Like, it's crazy.
What was I going to say? The Jeff Becker comment about it's ridiculous people are hung up on the Cards HQ pricing model. I think a majority of the people that are hung up on it are people that aren't like buying for collection. Because a lot of people, let's be real, are buying to make a profit margin on the other side. And so, and that's kind of one thing I get torn a little bit between when I'm a dealer at a show. When I'm a dealer at a show, I shouldn't be expected to sell my cards for like 70% of comp because I'm the dealer, right? I should get the luxury of being a dealer, of being able to buy at that, but not necessarily sell at that. And when I'm on the other side of the table, the role should be reversed. If I'm taking my cards up to another dealer, I should be expect somewhere between 70 and 80. Oof. And when I'm buying, I should expect to pay, a little bit less than market, but not for them to give it to me. So I think that his model, and he said this himself, is directed towards people, maybe buying gifts or buying a card for themselves, people actually collect for themselves. But I think that the people that are more in an uproar are like, oh, I'm not going to be able to go to Jeff's store and buy for 70% and then flip it for 85% on another platform. I think that's where you're getting a lot of the complaining about it. And I don't know, because I don't know who's openly complaining about it. I just know that some people talk about it. And that just seems like would be the one that would make sense.
You'll find the people real quick.
But that just seems like that would be one of the majority of people, because, and especially if he's buying a lot of inventory, if he's buying a lot of inventory, the people who are looking to buy and sell flip on Instagram, that's another piece of competition for them. And then they can't go to his shop and buy to make money unless they're prospecting and the card happens to go up, and they make money, passively because a card just happens to go up in value, as opposed to I'm making money because I'm selling it, or I'm buying it way under comp and selling it, for more than what I paid for it. You can easily make money in sports cards if you're buying stuff way below market value. That's just easy. That's why there's still lots of dealers and lots of people doing this, because they can buy at 60, 70% and sell for 85.
I mean,
you do that a lot. You do that enough, you make money.
The other aspect of this too is that it's Jeff. He could have came out on that interview last week and said, hey boys, we're going to negotiate all day long, bring us your deals. And the same half of people that were complaining about the pricing would be like, oh my God, he's negotiating? Are you crazy? What is he thinking? What an idiot. So it's Jeff. So it doesn't matter what he says. There's going to be a certain segment of people that are going to hate whatever it is that comes out of his mouth.
And one thing I left out about Culture Collision when we were talking about variety, there was a lot of Pokemon there. Like it was pretty strong Pokemon, and it was popular, man. The Pokemon dealers, man, their tables were always packed with people.
A lot of young people at the show too.
Yeah, and even like trading this Pokemon for this Pokemon, like just like we do with sports cards. I know that. I know it's been going on for a while, and it maybe seem kind of different to me. That's because I don't know anything about the market or values or what is what. But there was a lot of that, and there was a lot of vendors that were strictly dedicated to Pokemon, and they would have singles, and they would have wax, and they would have plushes, and and all kinds of merchandise.
Something to note too. So the guy I brought with me, my buddy Brian, that helped with the show, his son is, I think, he just turned 11 maybe. And he is just now getting introduced to the whole idea of graded Pokemon cards, and he flips out over a 10. It's a 10 grade, and absolutely, goes nuts over, oh my gosh, this is a graded card in a slab. And I think that Brian represents a lot of people that they have a son that's into it or whatever, where they're not. It's kind of like what I was just saying. The people that are in the chat have probably been doing cards for a good bit. There's a lot of people that maybe just got back in 6 months ago, a year ago, because, their son, daughter, whatever's into it. And, they're just now figuring out there's grading and all that stuff. So I think we have to keep that in mind when, we get kind of caught up in our own kind of recency bias and what we know and everything, but there actually are people that are learning about this and getting into it now, whether it's Pokemon or sports cards or whatever. My son, who's 9, he was big into Pokemon, and now he wants football cards, so it's a thing. I think that it's actually, like, I know I'm probably, it reminds me a little bit of the early 90s, when we all kind of got started into it. It's like, it's kind of cycling back over, and now stuff is actually affordable. Prices have come. I know prices on new product have not, but just singles, though, the singles market is loaded with options, out there for people. So,
and Beefo or Beefos or something at 9:15.
Okay.
You see it?
Yeah.
He says everybody wants to buy below market. I've never met a dealer who wants to pay market. LOL. Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to pay market, but I will say I've sold 2 cards to dealers, one at the National and one at this show, who gave me full comp for a card. The reason they gave me full comp for that card is because they wanted it for their PC. So that just reinforces my argument about people going into Cards HQ and wanting to pay sticker price for cards that they want, not cards that they want to sell. Okay. A dealer will pay you market full 100% if it's a card they want, not a card that they want to sell. Okay. And definitely they have to pay under market, or they would be out of business. Nobody's saying that dealers want to pay market for cards. I mean, that wouldn't make any common sense. I mean, they would be out of business, but they will pay for cards that they want full price. I've lived the experience. So again, that just goes to cards that people want, they'll pay for. I sold the Larry Bird laundry tag this week. That guy really wanted that card. He offered me full comp.
Yeah, he wanted that card.
There happened to be a comp on a card that was numbered out of 2. The other copy, I had number 1 out of 2, and there was 2 out of 2 actually sold recently enough for a comp to get established. Now that kind of hurts me, because a card that's 1 out of 2, I can kind of name my price. And I still kind of can, because who knows when he'll get another chance. The other one may never come to market again.
Yeah.
But it did give him a starting point. And he kept saying, I will give you full comp. I will give you full comp. And I'm like, man, I got to be a little bit above that. So.
What was I going to say? Shoot, I lost it. Oh, another thing is, I think Jeff's going to throw a lot of events there. So I know we had the trade night, is kind of, obviously it's an event, but I think that that's going to also be, when you look at the space, I think that's part of how he's going to try to get inventory coming in, is he'll probably have different trade nights, different things for different, sports or whatever. I think he's going to really use that as an event space. It's great for that. You can fit, how many people were in there? Maybe a couple hundred, a few hundred, Steve?
What's that? How many people could he fit in there? I asked him his capacity when he was on, and I don't know if he gave us a direct answer or not. I would say, let's see, I've worked in rooms about that size where the fire marshal put like a 350 to 400 cap on it.
I think it's like 4 or 5. It's like 450, I think, is the cap.
But what the room that I worked in was an open floor plan. So you got to take fire hazards and things into account when you have shelving everywhere and tables everywhere and trip and fall hazards everywhere, things like that. I only know that because of casino talk. I got to make sure the table games area is, we don't have that type of stuff on the casino floor.
a non-sports card special from PSA. Rob is the PSA specials guy. Do you think they're going to do a non-sport Neo special?
I don't know what they're going to do. We'll find out in a couple days. Well, we'll find out tomorrow, probably, I guess, if they roll something out or wait till the next week to roll something.
Yeah, their special that just ended. What exactly was that?
$15 for Ultra Modern, $200 and under.
So they just any sport.
Yeah. And Ultra Modern is very loose. I think it was like the 90s or like early 2000s.
Because I've been building up a raw card stack so that I can
better get your paperwork filled out in the next 3 hours.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to get it that quickly. There's still stuff I'm in negotiations for and stuff too.
Well, it's only a 10 card minimum, so you can get some stuff sent out if you want. I got to fill out. I'm sending a second order out, and they're cooking on that stuff. My order arrived to PSA on January 8th, and I'm going to have it back in my hands tomorrow.
Yeah, I just need my stuff back by the National. I'm not in like a super rush, so that's actually why I'm really planning on. If I'm in a super rush, I have to go to SGC because of the speed. But PSA prices are down, and I'm going to grade some Ultra Modern. This is something I haven't done in a while. Grade Ultra Modern sports cards, and that's because it's becoming feasible again.
Yep. Here's the thing too. Right now is PSA is. I mean, if you could return a bulk sub at PSA in under 30 days, like. Does the SGC speed factor matter as much if you could just wait like an extra week and get the PSA order back?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple cards that I've been waiting for PSA for to send to PSA for like a year. And as far as the selling aspect goes, I've been kind of out of it for a year. I mean, I sold what I sold at the National, what I bought in the beginning of 2023, the quarterbacks that we talked about earlier and stuff. This weekend I sold a lot. But as far as internet or online transactions go, I haven't sold a card on eBay or MySlabs all year. I sold one card on ComC that I bought for $12 and flipped it for $25. That's the only card that and that's just because that was just a natural. I bought it, I put it back up for sale. I didn't even look at my ComC for like 3 weeks, and then I looked and I was like, oh crap, that card sold.
Yeah, I've been building a war chest on ComC.
So I've been the last couple of days though, since we've been back from Culture Collision, I've been like heavy looking to buy, mostly speculation, nice raw cards. And I've been on every platform. I mean, I won 2 PWCC auctions. I bought about 4 or 5 cards off eBay. I bought 1 card off MySlabs, and I bought 2 cards off Veriswap. So I'm like, and I didn't even use Veriswap until yesterday. This is the first time I just signed up for it. So I haven't even been on the platforms. Instagram, I'm sorry, I did just buy 1 card on Instagram. I was going to say I haven't bought anything on Instagram, but I did buy 1 very small card, only $30 on Instagram. And Instagram was my bread and butter. Last year, all my Jordan Loves and stuff I was buying on Instagram. All the Jared Goffs I bought on Instagram. So
what are you gonna do now? You gotta find a new honey hole.
Well, I tell you right now, like I don't talk too much about any one certain platform because I use them all. So it's kind of like if I talk a lot about one, then I'm passively promoting it just because I like it. You know what I mean? And then, so it's kind of like I just use them all. And I know a lot of people don't like PWCC, but their auctions sometimes you can just find steals.
There's a lot of selling sites, so there's got to be stuff. There's going to be stuff that slips through the cracks every day.
I've seen, because when I look at like market movers, when they import the comps, every once in a while I'll like look and I'll be like, why'd this card dip that much? That seems odd. This is a really outlier sale. And I'll go look and it's almost always a golden sale on like random like silver PSA 10s or whatever. I think that stuff gets way overlooked on that platform.
The Crazy Kev got a quick turnaround on his PSA. I'm going to guess that's PSA too, because we were talking about that.
The upside down repacks, that's going to be the next thing. Look out. Turtle Z nailed it, or just Turtles. I'm not sure, but the upside down repacks where your wallet is not upside down. That's going to be the catchphrase. Bush Leaguers, you've put like 75 comments in here, so I don't know if I'm going to hit every single one. Which question? There was one about Vince McMahon, which I don't really want to dive into. I mean, come on, bro, like give me something to work with.
Yeah, yeah, no one's touching.
It's like, let's talk about everything. Nobody wants to, it's like, come on, give me a break. I live 40 minutes from PSA, so hopefully I get my cards quick.
I saw they did a drop-off submission event at the New Jersey location last week.
I saw a Nat Turner interview where they ship, so everything goes to California. Did you see this? And then they ship it to New Jersey. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of backwards, but it works. They've got.
So the way I understand it is there a lot of TCG is coming out of Jersey. Like my sports card order shipped from California, so that was graded in California. And I live in Ohio, so you would think if they were like, you would think that they would send it to New Jersey to ship back to me, like if graded in Jersey and ship it from there. But I think Jersey is still handling mostly a lot of TCG. They're doing some sports, but I think it's mostly TCG.
Bush Leaguers is like, what do you think about Epstein?
I was just going to say, Bush Leaguers showed me an item on Facebook Marketplace, which I didn't buy, but then I got one similar. And Bush Leaguers, you know what I'm talking about. That'll be in my next video, actually. And then Spurs Cards actually has a question about your service. Is that something that you can talk about?
What were you busting on me for, Bush? I don't remember. Dude, I have people coming at me every day, so I don't remember which one it was.
Oh, it's like me. I was even busting Dustin's balls all this weekend.
How did you forget a phone charger?
Well, I had the cord. I just didn't have the box. So yeah, I had to use Michael Ham.
Steve got a boot sent to him. You couldn't have got like a $5.
Yeah, right.
Like next date on Amazon.
They probably had one in the gift shop at the hotel.
We're on a tight budget. We're on a
sell those at the gas station. You could have went to Buc-ee's or something.
We're on a tight budget, man. We're on a tight.
Like I said, every morning 6:30, 6:45, we got the.
You could have promoted someone's
Hey, you guys notification.
While you were walking in to get it. To cover
hey, you guys.
It worked out. These guys were. It was like 8:30, and they're still sleeping. I'm like, I wake up at like 5 every morning, so it was fine. Like they need.
I work till like 5 every morning.
So Dustin, for you set up at this show. Did you enjoy setting up, or did you miss being able to just walk around and do whatever you want?
I liked setting up, but I think in part because I hadn't done it. I feel like if I was only ever setting up, then I probably would be like, man, like I'd like to be walking around more. It also helped a lot that we had Brian and Ham with us. If it was just me and Steve, we wouldn't be able to kind of maneuver around as much, but because we had them to stay back, we go to the restroom or grab a drink or something, or walk around a little bit, it worked out pretty well.
I'm going to try to answer Bush Leaguer's question, and I may be way off. I have no idea, but I'm going to guess.
Is it this one?
He's got a question.
I got a question. Okay, and it's not about
41.
Epstein or Vince McMahon, so we'll go with it.
No, it was 1941, yet he didn't get his first baseball card until 48. I'm going to say because of the war. That's what I'm going to guess. Maybe World War II.
That would be my guess as well.
So Hector, you actually before we dive into this, they did have a USB input. The one in my room didn't work. So and the one in Ham's room and Steve's room did work. So
I might be way off. I might be wrong, but that's just would be my first guess. Would be like because even like Ted Williams, he had a play ball card in 1938 and 40 and maybe 41. And 39, 40, and 41, I think. And then he didn't have another card, I don't think, until Topps or his first Topps card in the 54 set. He may have had earlier. He may have had some 48, 49 Bowman stuff, but I know there was a span in there.
This is a Mike Petty question.
Yeah, it's not a question for me because I'm not the super well-versed vintage guy. I'm just trying to. That just kind of makes sense, but it doesn't mean it's right.
We didn't have too much of this. Steve bought a $1 Mike Trout card off of a kid for $5. That was, like he was trying to do a trade up challenge. I remember that one. That was a good deed.
Kid walked up with the Mike Trout Illuminations. He said, it's in the video, but he said, I'm doing a trade up challenge. I'm trying to get from $1 to $300 for an Aiden Hutchinson card. Do you want to buy my Mike Trout card for $5? I messed with him a little bit. I said, what are the comps on it? And he was like, I'm just kidding, man.
A $300 Aiden Hutchinson card, was that like the one of one black finite?
I don't know. He said it was a really cool card, like some kind of patch auto or something. But
it better be.
I bought that, and I'll keep that card. Like that Mike Trout, or just like, even though it's a little like Prism, I don't even think it's a licensed product. I'll keep that card because now it has a story and it'll just go into my collection. And I'll always be able to be like, hey, this is when I helped this dude at the trade up challenge in Atlanta. I mean, I may never set up as a dealer again. Who knows? I would love to, but it's tough to fit it into my schedule. You know what I mean?
I did make a couple of connections being a dealer that I probably wouldn't have otherwise, because I had my Stranger Things cards out, and I made some good kind of corporate connections because that caught a couple people's eye. So that's another thing that's, I guess, might be a pro to being a dealer, is that you're locked. You're in that one spot. You have people walking around, and and you can chat with them and figure out kind of who's who.
Yes, thank you, Rob. At 931, that's I think Williams has the Bowman color cards, right? 50 and 51 Bowman color, because those cards actually look pretty cool.
The nice part about that, because like when I wasn't really set up as a dealer. I shared a little bit of space in Steve's case at Atlanta 2 years ago, but just having the table is nice from like a home base aspect of like just being able to like drop your case off, or like if you buy something and set it down behind the table and not have to lug it around, or you just want to go sit down for like 15 minutes or whatever.
So Eric, the Saint starter jacket, it was more like 60 degrees. It wasn't 80 degrees. And even inside there, it wasn't, you think like, oh, there's all those people in there, it's hot. It wasn't hot. Like it wasn't hot in there, like blazing hot, even with all the people. So, and plus I wanted to flex the jacket because, it's all like Falcons fans there. So there was a little bit of that too. There was a little bit of, here I am. And then the Falcons mascot was there, the actual Falcons mascot, Freddie. I got a good picture of him. Like he came up, I didn't realize he was going to do it. And then he like basically like bit my head with like the beak part or whatever. And there's some like funny pictures from it. So, but yeah, it wasn't 80. So just to clarify.
Yeah.
So what's your guys' oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say this time at Culture Collision was better because I got to walk the floor quite a bit, even though I was moving slow. It was good to get out from behind the table, because last time I may have done one lap around that show in a 3-day time period. So it was like I was stuck behind the table. So we were on a little bit of a rotation. We kind of, once we priced our cards, we even told each other, hey, if you want to negotiate them to like, just, if it gets too far down, call me. But if I got a card marked at 500 and somebody says 475, go ahead and sell it, because my stuff, I was in at low cost. So really I could have priced my stuff low. That's why, like Dustin said, I was priced to sell. I was priced to sell because I was in at low price points. So it was easy for me to sell a card for a decent price and still make 30 to 40% or more on a lot of them, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's really the big lesson is for today's flip game. Going back a couple of years, you could pay up on a card and still do okay. Now, I would say, just given all especially the ungraded inventory, if you're buying raw to grade, just be patient, because there's lots of really good inventory, whether it's sports or non-sports, that you can just go in and grade. Just be patient. Like it's like we're saying, there's a million different. Rob just said gold knock. There's stuff selling at below comps or whatever. Like there's opportunities every single day. So you just got to make sure that when you buy in, you're buying in low enough to where you can make a little bit. That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, and I had the interaction with a couple teenagers on the elevator that I talked about in my video. I got some flack for that by a couple people in my comments, because they said, I said, what are you guys buying, selling, and trading? And they were like, we just spent all of our money on CJ Stroud and we're taking them to Beckett for raw card review. And I was like, okay. I was like, but just, you never want to buy at the peak, and they're probably smarter than me. They're probably going to flip those cards and make money. But to me, I'm thinking CJ Stroud is he's like one of the hottest players at the show, which means if your grades don't increase the value of your card, which is the smart thing to do, you got to get it graded if you're buying at the peak to increase the value for yourself. But I was just like, man, I just feel like there'll be a better opportunity. And then people were like, what are you talking about? CJ Stroud card. CJ Stroud is going to be the bomb. He's this and I'm not. CJ Stroud, I think, will be a great quarterback. But not even Patrick Mahomes is immune to market dips. So, I just feel like in a month from now, when baseball is starting up a little bit and basketball playoffs start, people start talking about that, there will be a little bit of a time to buy some football cards, the ones that are peaked up right now. Like right after the Super Bowl, how many times do you see it? Somebody wins a Super Bowl, I'm sorry, and their cards go down immediately after.
For all my comic book people that showed up, probably thanks to Neo's stream. So just going to share a quick buy that I had over the last couple of days. This is one that sorry, sports card people, I'm just going to throw this up here for a few minutes. But this is one that I owned in an 8.5 that I sold into the kind of the comic explosion going back a couple of years, and I've been wanting to get another one, kind of the buy and hold copy. The 9.8s are like $4,000 or something, or best offer, and this one I got at 8.85. It was a pretty good price. So
Malibu Barbie
my
Spawn.
comic book folks, what's that?
Malibu Barbie Spawn. No,
the Malibu.
I don't even know. Like, I'm not familiar with that book, to be honest. And the 90s is the days that I was really into the comic books when McFarlane left.
This is a promo
Marvel
book. Basically,
Image.
Yeah, this is basically where they handed this out a month before Spawn 1 came out.
Now, who's the publisher?
I don't know if I'm not.
It wasn't Image yet, was it?
I think it's called. I think Malibu is the publisher.
Okay.
It's just basically it's like a promo magazine, but it's the first time Spawn's ever been on a cover.
Oh, gotcha. So that's a magazine with a photo / comic cover of Spawn on the front. So it's kind of like a first cover appearance of Spawn.
Exactly.
On a magazine. Gotcha. All right. Yeah. I thought it was a comic book.
It's just more of like a promo mag that they had going.
No, I understand now.
Yeah. But it's one that it's in the Image kind of Spawn Todd McFarlane world. It's a big one. So I just had to knock it down. So that's it. All right, comic book people.
We have some breaking PSA news.
Oh, what's going on?
Due to overwhelming demand, the PSA website is down. They are extending the special for one more day to let people get orders.
One day? They should have said week. Come on, man. I got cards I'm waiting for.
It broke the website. I heard that, and I'm sure Neo probably heard the same, but there is probably some big grading numbers coming out here tomorrow.
Actually, PSA's numbers are on track to be pretty close to what they were in December.
Yeah.
I heard some of the others. There's another company in particular that's doing.
The reason why I can't get
CGC is going to have a big bump up, but it's because of their show in China.
Yeah, Neo, the reason I can't get that order in, at least filed online prior to it, is because I need to see the cards. I'm waiting for them in the mail, and I don't want to be like, okay, I don't want to submit a card electronically and then get the card and it be scratched or dimpled or something.
Is SGC gonna have a big month? Is that what you're saying? I know that they're backed up. Like people are, I don't want to say like complaining, but like their orders are taking like the full 10 days or plus.
I heard it was good. Yeah, but I don't have all of the stuff in front of me, but I didn't ask for it either. CCG opening a location in Tokyo. It's the Asia invasion. Everyone's trying to get all the money over there in Asia that's into collect. I mean, they're into collectibles over there. Absolutely.
I mean, well, Pokemon and stuff is like huge over there, and that's probably a big target for like CGC, right?
Well, CGC's been going. There's like that massive show. I forget where it's at. Over like it's in China, and they're doing on-site grading there. So I guess they got monster influx from that. But
I'm just wondering how much of that is like modern or even vintage. I don't think anybody's sending vintage to CGC. I don't know if they, have been around long enough for them to trust it. I don't even know people that grade. Well, I guess grade period with Beckett right now, but I don't think any vintage goes there either because they kind of special treat it like BVG grading. And then it kind of hurts, they're being lenient because it's a vintage card. So if it's a BVG 8, it's like a PSA or an SGC 6.5 or something, right? That's what people will say. So I'm guessing vintage is all going to PSA and SGC. Modern is all mainly going to PSA unless it's a thicker stock card. Is anybody out there feel like people are – I guess we'll see the numbers, like you said. How much stuff is still going to Beckett? They were doing raw card reviews, but like – I don't know. Even somebody who used to submit with Beckett because of the types of cards I like to buy and grade, I didn't send to Beckett because of, my issues. I'm not going to blast them about the issues that I had again. That's done and over with, but
they're completely irrelevant.
Now, could that hurt the cards that are already in their slabs, or will at least the cards that are already in their slabs?
I don't think so, because people respect the grades. They just don't want to grade with them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, still like a paper form. It's still, you guys still got to fill everything out by hand.
AP, to answer AP's questions, PSA is now grading in Japan, so that should cut down.
Yeah. U.S. Sports Card, shout out. Yeah, I did see this. The hiring in Jersey at 17 an hour. I saw like a meme or something about this. You know, the answer is probably no to this, though, U.S. Sports Cards, because it hasn't changed. I mean, the numbers are just the numbers. Until the numbers change, then the answer is no. You know, and then if the numbers change, then maybe.
It's not like people are going to college to be professional sports card graders. Like,
look, I can tell you that if you have a job that you really like, a couple dollars here and there, you know, liking or enjoying your job can outweigh a couple dollars per hour here or there. If you despise going into your job every day, whether you got to deal with people or you got to deal with shit or whatever you do, heat, you know, some people it's weather, you know, as opposed to be waking up every morning and be like, yeah, man, my job's cool. Then, you know, give it a difference. I mean, I would think, at least from my perspective, I think it would be fun to be a card grader.
Yeah, I've got to assume there's a lot of young people that are into cards that would enjoy this job, or that could be like a decent job for them, you know, to get into the industry and then see where it goes. Now
you just got to make sure you're hiring people. And I'm not going to even say skill set, because you can teach skills, but maturity level, you got to make sure because there is a bit of emotion. People are people. And like we always say, you go to work and be having a bad day or be having a really good day and then grade accordingly, right? As opposed to being unbiased, to having no feelings, or looking at a card and being like, man, if I give this a 10, it's worth a whole lot of money. I'm going to hook somebody up. Or if I give it a 9 or an 8, it's going to hurt it, man. Screw them. You know what I mean? Like, we're all humans. That stuff is going to happen. It is just going to happen. That's why you get inconsistent grading. That's why you snap a card and send it back and a different grader gets it and they grade it completely differently. So I think maturity level is huge. I mean, and because I deal with this every day at work, we have casino dealers. And when we hire, we've had to start hiring under 21. Some casinos have been doing that for a while, but because we couldn't get enough manpower in, we had to start hiring people at 18. And no offense to anybody out here who's of that age group, but there is a huge difference between reliability and responsibility and maturity just between 18 and 21 that I can see. You know, they walk into work 10 minutes late and expect to be able to work. You know, they just go through the motions. They punch the time clock. They go to their table. They go through the motions. They don't care if somebody cheats on them and they lose their job. You know, I'm just going to go back home. I don't want to work anyway. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like having a job that you really like can be a big difference. But maturity level is huge. It's just huge when it comes to anything like that. So if they're hiring in, you know, that's what I mean. They got to be kind of careful. It's just, and I'm not just trying to say this applies to PSA. Anybody who works out there and has any kind of, you know, interaction with people or is any kind of supervisor or management job, you will see this. So again, like you got to keep it professional. And I'm not saying that hiring younger people is going to do that, but I don't see many people over a certain age who are trying to pay their bills and take care of their family and their mortgage and things in today's world getting by on $17 an hour. Mostly it's going to be younger kids, and it may be a part-time job. They're in college and they're grading cards, or they're living at home and they're grading cards, or they're flipping cards and they're grading cards, which is a complete conflict of interest. But I just feel like that will probably be a majority of their workforce, and they're really going to, you know, that could really be a sticking point.
The other thing to keep in mind too, with the whole $17 an hour thing, like your entry level person as a grader, I have to imagine like they're looking at base prism all day long. Like it's not like that guy's going to go grade your 86 Fleer Jordan. Like how much do you really need to make an hour to sit down and grade a silver prism of somebody? Like if you're remotely in cards, like,
yeah, maybe they bump you up. I mean, and I'm talking about any grading company, not just PSA, but maybe that's like the training wage or something. And then after 6 months,
who knows?
$20.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you don't. Who knows?
I make nothing per hour, and I sit down and evaluate cards of the grade. Who the hell am I? You know what I mean?
And probably your entry level graders are probably having certain cards given to them. You know, you're not going to give a 52
sure.
manual to somebody you just hired off the street, right?
There's a reason why their vintage and auto authentication is super slow, because there's probably fewer people that can grade that stuff.
But I'm going to guess if you do a really good job, just like any job out there, there should be some sort of merit. There should be some sort of, hey, we're going to reward you for your good work, and we're going to give you a raise, and we're going to move you up, and you're going to be grading better stuff, and you know, because you become more reliable and responsible. But it's hard these days, as someone who does a lot of hiring, to find people who take pride in their job because they want to reap the benefits of their job. And then I don't want to get into life discussions and real world discussions, but it just seems like I talked about this in a live drive once, where a lot of people hit the easy button and they want stuff to be given to them.
Well, here's the other thing too with that grading thing. Like if you were, let's say, high school or just graduated in college or whatever, and you're already in the cards, and that's like your first job or whatever, those people are probably actually very well qualified to grade a card, to be honest. Like if you took someone that's flipping cards, or that's like, you know, hitting the card show every weekend or whatever, those are the people that are probably going to apply there. They probably have the same knowledge base as me, or probably even more than chat, depending on the person. It's not like someone that just walked out of school and's been flipping burgers at Wendy's is going to be like, and has never looked at a sports card, is going to be like, oh, let me go try out this card grading thing at pick whatever company you want.
I mean, I don't know.
I have to have a baseline interest level and love in cards.
I have people that walk into the casino training room every day and say, I want to be a casino dealer. I've never played blackjack. I've never dealt a card. I don't know what a straight is. I don't know what a flush is. I don't know how many sides are on a die. I don't know how many numbers on a roulette wheel. I want to be a casino dealer, though. I see it every day. And we don't hire
that illusion of
training
working at a casino versus being a card.
But I mean, we have an on-site training center at our casino. Now, that was unheard of when I got hired. You had to go off-site. You had to get a curriculum from an actual college, because you got issued certificates back when I came in for things, and you learn how to do stuff. Now it's kind of like, we're going to bring you in. We're going to hire you. If you pass your audition, which means you went through your 3 or 4 week class on how to deal blackjack, and at the end, we feel like you are safe to put on a casino floor, we're going to pay for your lottery badge, and we're going to guarantee you a job. We're going to guarantee you a job if you pass this class. And the class is free. All you got to do is sign up, walk in. We start a new one every month. For about, we'll shut it down in July, but at least 8 months to 9 months out of the year, it's constantly running. And we can't keep employees. And I don't work in a huge house. I work in a decent sized house. Casino, that's casino, it's talk. I work in a decent sized casino. And, you know, it could be the same thing. PSA could be like, okay, we're going to train people to do this. But are they going to be able to grasp it? Are they going to be good at it? Are they going to want to do it? Are we going to have to keep training people like a revolving door, like I go through a lot?
Well, look, that's, and also too, you might be into cards and you might think, okay, I'm going to do this, but it's like, I have to assume it's like working almost like at a factory with, you know, a conveyor belt of cards coming your way. You're grading 5,000 cards a day or however many you have, 1,000 cards a day or whatever it is. I mean, that's like, it's really redundant work. So I don't know. I wonder if they break up their day, you know, to do other things. So it's not just like 8 hours, you know, just simply doing that. I wonder how that works. That'd be interesting.
We need a day in the life of a grader.
We might have to do a trip.
Problem is no one's going to let you behind closed doors because they don't want us to see. We all know that they probably spend 30 seconds or less on an ultra modern card, but they don't want us to see that.
Be funny. We visit, they're all, we go in and like everyone's taking like, you know, 20 minutes to look at a card.
Yeah, I will say there's a little bit of difference. I mean, I live in Delaware, which is a smaller state, and our casino dealers are making like between 30 to 40 an hour. So, you know, there is that difference. Right? Yeah. But what we call a toke rate, again, the word tip doesn't exist in a casino. It's called a toke. Kind of like, I don't know, is that like a marijuana reference? But anyway, toke rate is never like below I mean, a bad day is 25 plus whatever flat rate the dealer is getting paid based on their experience.
Yeah,
and knowledge.
First card
knowledge.
21 nails it. Do you really want to know? Do you want to go to the back of the restaurant and really see how your food's made? Or do you just want to know that it tastes good?
Yeah, the microwave. The microwave.
Yeah, no, man. You ever seen a Road Trip where the guy sends his pancakes back?
Yeah, sends the French toast back.
The French toast,
Yeah, because it's got powdered sugar on it.
He's like, flips it up into his pants.
Yeah.
That's a very underrated. That movie never gets talked about. That movie's hilarious.
Oh, the best is Vacation. The new Vacation. The guy from The Office is in it. That's the best with Christina Applegate, I think. Oh my God, that is the best. All right, guys, it is. We've been on for an hour 50 minutes. I'm
It's been a while.
Yeah, and Neo's got to get up at 3 or 4 or something like that.
I get up at 4:30 tomorrow.
Okay. All right, so we should probably wrap. Any last words, guys, before we wrap up? We had 200 people on the stream tonight.
What's your next big show? What's everyone's next big show?
Probably the National. For me.
Yeah, the only thing I can guarantee is the National. Philly and Chantilly are close to me, and I would love to go like on a Sunday. But God dang it, I hate to do that, but I have to use a vacation day because my day's off in the middle of the week. They don't give the shift manager at the casino the weekends off. So it's like, I have to work, but I could manipulate the schedule, but
on the Chantilly on a Saturday.
That wouldn't be leading by example when I would.
I want to try to get to Chantilly. I thought about Philly, but I've already been to that one once. I've never been to Chantilly, and I've always heard good things.
Yeah, and if I go to Philly or Chantilly, like Philly's in March. If I go to that in March, I'm going to drop more money on another vintage card. I'm not going to be able to contain myself.
Let's go to Chantilly in April. I got ships in a blizzard probably in the beginning of March, most likely, because that's just.
I need to buy a decent, inexpensive vintage card.
That one's not out of the question
for a while.
Chantilly April 5th might not be out of the question. That could be a possibility.
Yeah, I'd probably go for Friday, Saturday, drive home Sunday, because for me that's only 6 hours. I look.
Oh yeah, see, if I did Chantilly, I would probably go on the Sunday.
No, you got to come Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I usually tend to go to these.
I'm Jones, and after I FOMO'd.
Well, what day did we go to Philly? Didn't we go on Sunday?
No, we were there the whole weekend.
Saturday.
We were there.
We went for one day.
It was a busy day. The one we went on Saturday.
Oh, I was there Friday night. You guys didn't get there till Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I got ships. If I go to this PA show, but I almost consider that like a local show. And then I want to do either Philly or Chantilly, but my lean is Chantilly because I've already been to Philly. And I think actually Chantilly is an hour less drive.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like I need to get into sports card flipping mode instead of sports card hold mode. And if I go to a show, I'm going to buy a hold card, right? And I feel like I can get better deals online and more variety and stuff for the items that I want to flip than I can at a show. At a show is typically where I find something that I'm going to buy for myself. So, and like I said, I'm doing my video tomorrow on already acquiring certain things for this year that took me all of last year to like complete. Like I stretched it out last year to keep it fun. And this year I was just like, stuff's being made available because we didn't talk about that, but I mean, stuff's just being made available. So, 2 PC cards and one big flip card I bought like this month.
When are we going next? Because 2 weeks is Valentine's Day. Are we going to try to live stream on Valentine's Day?
Are you asking me out on a date?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I'm going to be
at the Stranger Things premiere.
I might be in Mexico.
Oh, really?
I don't remember when we're going. I don't remember if it's. No, you know what? You know where we're going? We're going to go to see the blind Italian opera singer guy, Bocelli. Me and the wife are going to go and see him on Valentine's Day. I think we go to Mexico later in the month.
Now, will he be singing in Italian, or is he just Italian?
Yeah, he's Italian.
But I mean, will he be singing in Italian? Or will he be singing in English? He'll be singing in Italian.
I think he sings. I think he always sings in Italian, right? Now you've got me.
I don't know. I plan on going to the opera when I'm in Vienna this summer, but I'm not going to understand what they're saying.
Mm.
I'll
Well,
just have to hear that. I'll hear them singing, but I won't know. I'll just make up my own story, I guess.
I think that's a good note to end on.
So next off center to be determined.
Yeah.
EBD.
Yeah. I think that we'll be fine in 2 weeks. It's just the following
2
week.
weeks, Valentine's Day.
2 weeks is Valentine's Day on the nose?
Yeah, on the nose.
On a Wednesday?
We're in a leap year.
Oh, okay. Then maybe not. Yeah. Well, maybe we just
that's the end of the month.
We'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe February is a one-show month.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate you. We will see you in the next few weeks for the next episode of Off Centered. See you guys.
See you.